Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So I'm going to give you an update in regards to Mario Mandzukic, because reports have been stemming out in the last couple of days saying that we have identified him as one of our top priority targets for the January transfer window. Now, recent reports have said that allegedly Manchester United have reached an agreement with Juventus for Mario Mandzukic. Reportedly, he will cost us in the region of around £9 or £10 million. Reportedly, we have sorted his contract out. Manchester United will reportedly give him around an 18-month contract. Reportedly, we'll pay Mario Mandzukic around £4.4 million a year, which equates to around £85,000 a week. So I think it's likely that we'll sign him in January. But like I mentioned, he is a cheap alternative. Don't forget, we inquired about getting Mario Mandzukic towards the back end of the summer transfer window and that. I think maybe the board have got element of concerns about recommending him into the football club. Obviously, reflecting on his age, because Mario Mandzukic is now 33 years of age. Hasn't played a single minute of football, so far this season. In total for Juventus, he has made 162 appearances and scored 44 goals. And I think he's still under contract with Juventus until 2021. And I do believe now he's in his fifth season with Juventus. But he has obviously lost his place. Lost his place in the team. Obviously under Maurizio Sarri. So it's likely he will come to Manchester United in January. But I think he will add that depth in that attacking line. It can also show the likes of Rashford, Daniel James and Anthony Martial how to be more effective in the box. But he's only got probably a couple of years left in his footballing career anywhere. So it's probably likely he will be coming to Manchester United in January. So I just wanted to give you the latest news on that. We've also got a lot of other players on our agenda, but it is good, that we are making plans for January, and it's also good, that Ed Woodward is making plans for January, because Solskjaer's being assured, he will be given, money to spend in January. I can't see, us spending a substantial amount in January. I think we'll leave the vast majority of the transfer business until next summer, in my opinion. But you can still see the deficiencies in the squad, and these still areas in the squad, that do need to be addressed. So like I mentioned, we need a striker. We also need a midfielder. We need creativeness in that midfield. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer, was in search for a right winner. So yeah, there's still areas that do need to be addressed in the squad, and I think probably Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be here by January. I think he's obviously keen on sticking to the policy of recruiting young British players, like he did do earlier on in the summer. But obviously, if we do sign Mario Mandzukic, obviously Solskjaer is actually preparing to break his own transfer policy. But yeah, so yeah, we definitely know that further more investment is needed in the squad. I think recent reports did say that Man United are set to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with 8 new signings if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be here within the next 2 summers. But I think Ed Woodward has been given 6 potential transfer targets by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I did initially say anyway, I think we need at least 5 to 6 more signings if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club. But I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect that he did recommend 3 good players to the squad during the summer. We spent nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and on Harry Maguire, and it's good in the aspects as well that we did address some of the problematic areas. But we didn't address all of the problematic areas, and obviously that's an element of concern. But it was going to be extremely difficult for us to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window. But I do believe, a lot of the players, we was in for during the summer, I think it's probably more than likely we'll reignite our interest in some of them in January. Maybe we'll leave some until next summer, because obviously, during the summer, we didn't get all the players that we wanted to recommend in. I did say, of our failure to qualify for the Champions League, I did say, that could be one of the main factor reasons that went against us. because obviously if you're not in Champions League football, obviously it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level, like I mentioned. But you've obviously still got the vast majority of Manchester United fans, demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the football club. Obviously, a lot of Man United fans, do believe he will be gone by Christmas. Recent reports have indicated out saying if we are to obviously lose to Norwich, which is obviously near the end of this month, that obviously could put Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job in serious jeopardy, or could obviously fear the sack. Reports indicated out the other week saying that if we was to suffer a heavy defeat to Liverpool this Sunday, that would be enough to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And obviously, as I said, it has been revealed how much it would cost the club to sack Solskjaer. We'd have to pay around £7 million in compensation, as you all know. But I think he could be still here by January, because obviously you can still quite frankly say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in the process of rebuilding, because obviously analysing the majority of this Manchester United team, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. Actually analysing the majority of this Manchester United team, it's actually Jose Mourinho's, and Jose Mourinho obviously recommended 11 players into the football club, and obviously Solskjaer is still inheriting the vast majority of them. So maybe does need a couple more windows, to see who else, of course, he can recommend into the football club. But, you're still getting certain Manchester United fans that are still willing to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, despite our disastrous start to the season. Like I mentioned, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. Obviously, you're still getting some former Manchester United players believe that we should stick with him in that. Rio Ferdinand came out not too long ago and he said, Manchester United, would be naive to sack Solskjaer. Ryan Giggs also believes that, he needs more time at the football club. And even Ryan Giggs did say, we need about 4 or 5 more signings if the glory days, are to return at Manchester United. And also, too, Gary Neville came out a couple of weeks ago, and he actually criticised the Manchester United board and that. But like I mentioned, I said due to our bad run performances and obviously our inconsistency, in the last 6 or 7 years, I think the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, because in my opinion, the board are a liability. The board have been a liability for several years. With their poor recruitment, as I do keep mentioning, and with their poor selection of managers. And obviously, in my opinion, the board didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, during the course of the summer, as they did, actually, assured that, he would have been backed. But I think, the board actually, did confirm at the start of this season, like, regardless of what happens this season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, will be safe for him at least this season, because I think the board realised that they didn't back him enough, during the course of the summer. And I think, like I mentioned, the board do need to assure structural changes at Manchester United, and whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. The question is, are they going to give, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the tools and that he does need. But I think, everyone needs to take the blame in that, but I think just most of the blame's from the board. Some of the blame stems from Ed Woodward. You've also got a lot of Man United fans demanding Ed Woodward out in the football club. I think again, he's been a liability for years. I think also some of the blame stems from Solskjaer, because Solskjaer's tactics in that are questionable. Obviously, I will admit, we are tactically inept. So Solskjaer's definitely got to take responsibility, and he's accountable, for our bad run performances. And I think also, some of the blame stems from Ed Wood, a lot of the players as well. Sorry. Because I think the vast majority of our players so far this season obviously have been underperforming. So a lot of our players do need reality checks, and despite the fact that a lot of players have obviously left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe there is more problematic players at the football club that do need to be moved on in January and of course next summer and that. So it looks like I mentioned, that Mario Mandzukic, will be coming in January. Now, according to recent reports, obviously, we're seeing him as an adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because like I mentioned, we do now look very exposed in that attacking third in the pitch, following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. Also, the injury of Anthony Martial and that. We look very exposed in that attacking line. So yeah, we do need to see, fluidity in that attacking line. And, obviously Mario Mandzukic will bring that. And I think probably Mario Mandzukic, can probably emulate into like a, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I've been reading recent reports about Ibrahimovic and it did say, we have been urged, to go on and re-sign Zlatan Ibrahimovic. But, there's not only, Mario Mandzukic on our agenda for January. There's also been other players, names mentioned. Like I mentioned, I was reading reports yesterday about Declan Rice from West Ham, and it reportedly says, we could put a £70 million bid in for Declan Rice in January. Don't forget, we was in for Declan Rice, during the course of the summer. Obviously, we didn't get him in and that. He wasn't one of our main priority targets. Was relentlessly linked with Declan Rice. But yeah, he's going to cost the club a substantial amount. He's predominantly a defensive midfielder. Can also play as a centre-back. And, I think he would be the right calibre player for Manchester United and that. He's well Premier League proven. He initially, learned his trade in the Premier League. He's been at West Ham now for several years as Declan Rice. He's under contract with them until 2024. Signed this new long-term contract last year. And he has cemented himself as a regular in West Ham's midfield. He's only 20 years of age. I think he insisted recently, that he feels happier with West Ham. But reportedly he's another target, for January who Manchester United, could go in for. He's made 78 appearances as well in total for West Ham in all competitions. Obviously, the vast majority of his appearances have come in the Premier League. I do believe before he was at West Ham, he spent several years with Chelsea. He was in Chelsea's youth setup, but I don't think he ever got into Chelsea's first team. But yeah, there has been a lot of talks about him. Don't forget there's been talks about, Moussa Dembele, recently going on. Maybe we may not go in for him in January, maybe we will wait until next summer to go in for Moussa Dembele. Reportedly, again, he will cost the club a substantial amount. Would probably have to pay in the excess of around, £71 million to get Moussa Dembele in January. Because this is obviously what Lyon are demanding, basically. I think Moussa Dembele feels unsettled with Lyon, even though he's only in his second season with Lyon. Last season was his debut season with Lyon. Like I mentioned, in total for Lyon, he has made, I think, around 41 appearances and scored 21 goals in Ligue 1 or something like that. In all competitions, I think he's made around 57, 58 appearances and scored around... I think 28 goals in all. This is in all competitions by the way. He's under contract with Lyon until 2023 and he is an out-and-out number 9. So obviously, again, he would be a good replacement for Romelu Lukaku. Lyon did pay around £20 million for him last summer from Celtic. Like I mentioned, he did have a good couple of years in Scotland with Celtic. Obviously, before he was at Celtic, maybe actually, was at Fulham. He initially began his senior career with Fulham. So, mate, would you like him, to come in at Manchester United? Would you like him to come in at Manchester United and that? Obviously, we do know there's been talks about James Maddison from Leicester. Obviously, don't forget, we did business with Leicester, during the summer, because obviously, we did get the pursuit of Harry Maguire. Obviously, we paid around £80 million for Harry Maguire. Obviously, he's the most expensive defender in the world. He's the second most expensive signing at the football club. But like I mentioned, I think he's settled in really, really well. I do believe that, the football club, did overpay for Harry Maguire. But like I mentioned, we are known for overpaying for players, and that we have done it in recent years. So if we have any chances of getting the pursuit of James Maddison in January or next summer, I do believe probably Leicester, will demand a similar sort of figure, to what they did do for Harry Maguire. James Maddison, as you all know, is predominantly an attacking midfielder. He can also, play out on the left-hand side because Brendan Rodgers has played him on the left, quite a few times. Like I mentioned, this is only James Maddison's second season with Leicester. Obviously, in his first season, he did really, really well in his debut season with Leicester. Like I mentioned, created more chances than any other player in the Premier League last season. Created around 100 chances. Was involved in 14 goals. And he has done really, really well so far this season. Only 22 years of age as well, James Maddison. He's still got 4 years left on his current deal, by the way, with Leicester. Leicester paid around £22 million for him last summer. 20 million, I think it was, sorry, for him from Norwich last summer. And like I mentioned, when we did have a good couple of years with Norwich. And I think he also had a loan spell, in Scotland with Aberdeen. He also initially began his career with Coventry, where quite a few teams were tracking James Maddison. So he's another, current player on our agenda. Also Ben Chilwell, got mentioned recently. Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund, he's probably a player we could reignite our interest in. We probably we could go in for him in January. We may as well, if we don't go in for him in January, we could go in for him next summer again. If we are to reignite our interest in Jadon Sancho, obviously, we are gonna, have to pay a substantial amount for him. I do believe, he will cost the club in the excess of around £100 million. Will Jadon Sancho. Like I mentioned, I love Jadon Sancho at Manchester United because, like I mentioned, he'd add depth in that attacking line. He'd been more fluidity up front. I think he'd be able to show his goals and that. He can create chances, can Sancho, as he has proven in his 2 years there with Borussia Dortmund. And now Jadon Sancho he's in his third season there with Borussia Dortmund. He's under contract with them until 2022. I think Jadon Sancho is unsure about where his future holds at the moment. I don't know what he's going to do in that. I think Borussia Dortmund not too long ago admitted that Jadon Sancho could leave Dortmund for a very, very big club, because obviously Jadon Sancho will not be orchestrating on spending the rest of his career with Borussia Dortmund. It's also very beneficial because obviously he were at Man City before he was at Borussia Dortmund, so he has played in the Premier League. He did serve a couple of years with Man City, but obviously, never got assured first team opportunities at Man City, and this is the main factor reason why I left City, of course, to join Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund basically got him for next to now. They only paid around 7 or 8 million for him, but obviously, analysing his performances in the couple of years he's been with Dortmund, his valuation has persistently grown. But definitely Man United have got the financial power, to meet his valuation. But yeah, definitely more signings needed at Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. But like I mentioned, Solskjaer now overall has been at Manchester United now for around 10 months or something like that. So he's been at the football club, just under a year, basically. Obviously, Solskjaer got recommended into the football club last year following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. Obviously, the first Solskjaer, came in as the interim manager. He was the interim manager for 3 months. And in that 3-month period, everything went well. We got a glimpse of the Alex Ferguson days. The results were good, the performances were good, and Solskjaer, of course, exceeded expectations, and he was getting the best out of these group of players. And he even won, 14 games out of 19 in total. But since Solskjaer got the job in March earlier on this year, everything, of course, has just seemed to have all gone wrong. Obviously, don't forget, he has got a 3-year contract. And I think that was a mistake for Manchester United, giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job. That was one mistake the football club did make. But analysing it, Solskjaer has, endured a difficult 7-month tenure with the football club. But like I mentioned, Solskjaer's tenure at Manchester United, he's not going to become successful. And obviously, we do know that obviously the board aren't obviously not going to stick out with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I recently mentioned on my recent videos, I think, the only reason why the board are sticking with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at this present time is because obviously he was a club legend. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and Solskjaer has got that proven pedigree as a player, but he just doesn't. My element of concern about him, he just doesn't have any intuition as a manager. He hasn't really got that experience of that managerial experience. Not really to the highest level, and that obviously before he came to Man United, he won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mould. Obviously, he had a really short tenure with Cardiff. Well, he actually, ended up, getting Cardiff City relegated. I think he only lasted around 30 games with Cardiff. But yeah, it's not going to work out for him, Manchester United, as of course I would like it to, because I do love him a lot, and I think Solskjaer, to be fair to him, he has got a lot of honesty about him as well, which I do credit him for. And he's aware, of how bad, Manchester United are at the moment, and that he's actually, aware of this. He's actually aware how bad Manchester United are at the moment. But to be fair, I think he's probably aware of his expectations at Manchester United, and like I said at the end of last season, and I mentioned at the start of this season, that our expectations this season, obviously we'll be able to finish in that top four. So in that aspect we can get back into the Champions League, because obviously I want to get back into the Champions League, and that because obviously we failed to qualify for the Champions League last season. Last season we finished sixth last season, and we're actually enjoying a worse season this season so far than what we saw last season. And I think last season was actually the lowest we finished, if I can remember rightly, since the David Moyes era, because I think under the David Moyes era, we actually finished, was it 7th, if I can remember rightly, and we've actually only failed to secure European football once overall since 1990, which is obviously over 20 odd years ago now. I think it's like 20 odd years ago now as well. But also I want to say, we have got the fourth worst record in the Premier League as well, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had got the job permanently. I think it's only Brighton, Southampton and Watford that have the worst records than Manchester United. So that just indicates how far away the football club are at the moment. A big massive rebuild is definitely needed at the football club. I think we've only registered like 17 points from our last 17 games, but like I mentioned, we have got games coming up thick and fast. We've got Liverpool this Sunday. Then we go to Partizan Belgrade in the Europa League. Probably another particular game where Solskjaer will go more with the youth. We've obviously got, and then after that, Norwich, and we've obviously got Chelsea at the end of the month in the Carabao Cup. So we've got games coming up thick and fast, and we need to start winning games, because we've only won 2 games so far in the league this season. We've drawn 3 and we've lost 3, so we've only registered 9 points from a possible 24, and obviously we know that's nowhere near good enough, to our standards. And like I mentioned, with the size and the potential of this football club, we should be much more commanding a position, than we're in now. Like I mentioned, also reflect on the history of this football club. I'll also put into the equation. We're sitting 2 points above relegation. So you can quite frankly say at the moment, we are facing a relegation battle. I don't think Manchester United will go down. Like I mentioned, the club's too big to go down. We haven't been relegated, since 1974, which is obviously over 40 odd years ago now. But yeah, I don't think Manchester United will get relegated. But we are, currently sitting 12th at the moment. But everything basically needs to improve at Manchester United. The away form needs to improve, because we haven't won away from home since the game against PSG last season, when we did produce that miraculous comeback. We haven't, I think it's 11 away games we've had now since PSG where we haven't won. The home form needs to improve, because that's also been bad as well. The style of play needs to improve. Basically everything, needs to improve at Manchester United, like I currently mentioned. And, like I said, maybe we should give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a bit more time, but I don't think, he's the right man for Manchester United. But like I said, regardless of who our manager is, no one's going to ever, invoke Alex Ferguson's legacy. And definitely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, can't invoke Alex Ferguson's legacy to save him at Manchester United. Because, we had, 26 years of success under Alex Ferguson. That, like I mentioned, Ferguson had great players. He developed a lot of young players. Like I mentioned, he controlled the transfer policies. He controlled the contracts. And all that, and it was just a fantastic team under Alex Ferguson. And obviously the vast majority of the silverware we won came under the Alex Ferguson era. We won 38 trophies under Alex Ferguson, and that. Like I mentioned, taking into account, Ferguson, didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. When we recommended him in from Aberdeen in 1984. But obviously back in the old generation, obviously, managers and that, got the time, that they, were demanding. Obviously now we know this is a new generation of managers, don't get the time, that of course they would like. But like I mentioned now, we're no longer in the Ferguson era, this is a total different era now, with different players and different groups that we are building, like Solskjaer recently mentioned. And, like Solskjaer also mentioned before, that, these are many clubs with our stature, that do, play, a lot of the young players. But yeah, Solskjaer definitely can't bring the Alex Ferguson days, back to Manchester United, in my opinion. Definitely, can't do that. Another thing I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for, he has got a lot of faith in his young upcoming players, because he has, given the vast majority of the young upcoming players a chance, which is obviously now very, very good. But I don't, obviously, like I mentioned, I don't think all the young upcoming players are going to become a success at Manchester United. I think, maybe, some young upcoming players, need to be loaned out. Maybe some of them, need to probably permanently leave the football club because they're not good enough to represent Manchester United and that. But we have got a lot of young players in the squad that are developing, trying to improve. So maybe they do need to be given more time. Like I can assure, I think Mason Greenwood, will definitely, become a success at Manchester United. Definitely, because I think in the games, Mason Greenwood has played in this season. He has been very, very impressive, so I will credit him for that. He's yet to start a game in the Premier League, this season. He's made six substitute appearances so far in the Premier League this season as Mason Greenwood. He did start in the Carabao Cup against Rochdale. He did start in the Europa League against FC Astana. He obviously scored in them two particular games and came up with a moment of quality. Mason Greenwood turned just 18 years of age at the beginning of this month. But by the time he's 23, 24, I think he will be a world-class centre-forward for Manchester United. So very reliable. I've definitely got different thoughts about Chong, because I think he's totally comparison to Mason Greenwood, and I think maybe the club do need to orchestrate on loaning Chong out. Chong's played a couple of games this season. Don't forget he had received loan offers this summer, from PSV and his former club Feyenoord, but he actually, turned these loan offers down because I think, he wants to, commit his future in Man United. Well, he wants to stay at the football club at least for this season. I can assure that Alex Tuanzebe will be a success at the football club, because I think, in the games, he's played in so far this season, he has been very, very impressive as Tuanzebe. Like I said, he's predominantly a centre-back, but, he can also, play as a full-back and that, and, he played at left-back in the 1-1 draw with Arsenal. But yeah, I have been very, very impressed there with him. We've also got the likes of Jimmy Garner. I don't think he's yet played this season. Obviously, you've got Angel Gomez, another one of our midfield options. Obviously, you've got Diego Dalot. I think Diego Dalot, needs to be given more time at the football club. He has actually sustained quite a few injuries so far this season as Diego Dalot. I think he's injured now. I think he had a groin problem not too long ago as well, Diego Dalot. He's obviously one of our backup options, that fullback Mary. So he needs to be given more time at the club. I think we paid around, was it £20 million to him last summer from Porto. But yeah, so he needs to be given more time in my opinion. So McTominay, I have been very, very impressed with Scott McTominay and that, like I mentioned, of in regards to him being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got element of concerns about that, can he keep the consistency up? And I think McTominay, of what I can recall, he's had one bad game this season, and that was obviously, the 1-0 defeat to Newcastle in our last game. I thought it was really, really bad because he looked so exposed alongside Fred in our midfield. But I think prior to that game, McTominay's done really, really well, and I think he's also put Paul Pogba to shame. But yeah, I've been very, very impressed with him, and he's deserved to keep his place in the team. And he is only 22 years of age, so he has still got quite a lot of development in him. As McTominay, so I have been very, very impressed with him. With Fred, a lot of Man United fans feel that he's not good enough to represent Manchester United. My own opinion on it, I think the club needs to give Fred a bit more time. Obviously, Fred, has only been at the club, like I mentioned, since last summer. Manchester United again did overpay for him. We paid just under £50 million for the player, and we know, he hasn't performed to the standards, as we all expected. I think he's had a good couple of games this season as Fred, but I think prior to that, he hasn't been that good. But yeah, I'd still say, give him more time at the football club. But, I think the likes of Fred, McTominay, and any of our midfielders, are much better solutions than Nemanja Matic, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But yeah, we have got a lot of young players, like I mentioned, in the squad. And that. But yeah, so there is definitely more players that do need to leave the football club, in my opinion. So I think the players, in my opinion, that need to be moved on in January or next summer, I definitely think that the likes of Young needs to be moved on. Because obviously looking at Young, he's now past his sell-by date at the football club. Young is 34 years of age now. I think he's 35 next year. I know he was our first choice right back last season before the arrival of Van Wan-Bissaka. But Young has played on a regular basis, this season in the league, mainly obviously due to the injuries and that we've had. Obviously we've had to make alterations in the squad and that. With Young, he's a backup option. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, so he has been here now around 8 years. I think he's still currently the club captain. He's young, but definitely needs to be moved on at the end of the season. Like I mentioned, he's coming to an end of his footballing career anywhere. Phil Jones, he's a problematic player at the football club. Like I mentioned, he's obviously been out of injury. Like I said, the likes of Jones and Rojo and that, they'll get their opportunities in like the cup games and the Europa League games. But prior to that, they won't really get chances. They won't really get chances. Like I mentioned, Jones has been another long-term player at the football club. Jones is now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. So he's been here the same amount of time, more or less, as Ashley Young, basically, as Phil Jones, because they've both been here since the Alex Ferguson era. I do believe it was also a mistake for Man United, giving Phil Jones a new long-term contract last season. That was a mistake from the football club. But yeah, despite the fact that Chris Smalling left as well, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team, believe it or not. But yeah, he definitely needs to be moved on. In my opinion, Matic, definitely a problematic player. He needs to be moved on from the football club. Obviously, Matic has now into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. Like I mentioned, he has, initially lost his place in the team. Obviously, he has become infuriated about this, and we should try and get rid of him in January because we could cash in for him in January. Again, we overpaid for him, but if we got rid of him next summer, we won't be able to cash in for him because he comes to an end of his current contract. I do believe we have an option to extend his contract by a further year. I think Matic has I think he's not far away from making a century of appearances for Man United in all competitions. I think he's made about 70 appearances in the league for us. We paid around, was it £40 million to him from Chelsea and that. And like I mentioned, we did definitely overpay for him. Because at the time we got Matic, obviously, he wasn't the club's first choice, basically, as you all know. He was actually, our 3rd choice signing, if you do remember rightly. We have seen glimpses in certain games, that he can play well and that he can pass the ball well sometimes, but for me, he's too slow, too ineffective in that midfield, and he's too predictable. So we do need to move him on, in my opinion. So yeah, there is more players that do need to be moved on there without a shadow of a doubt. Definitely Rojo. I think he's another player that does need to be moved on there by the football club as well. And if we can get rid of him in January or next summer, we can cash in for Rojo. Like I mentioned, Rojo has sustained quite a few injuries as a Man United player. Rojo, I think's played 2 games so far this season, predominantly as centre back, but can also play as a full back. And like I mentioned, we have got quite a few versatile defenders. But Rojo sustained a few injuries as a Man United player. He's nowhere near to the same sort of extent as Eric Bailly, affects on the amount of injuries, because Eric Bailly's a lot more injury prone than Rojo. He's even a lot more injury prone than Luke Shaw, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Don't forget Rojo, I think, he could have left during the summer. Don't forget Everton had inquired about getting him towards the back end of the window. I think they inquired about getting him on deadline day. Don't forget also, a few other clubs, went in for Marcus Rojo. But like I mentioned, he has just got under 2 years left on his contract term at the football club. But like I said, Italy's been a very popular destination for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer. We have obviously loaned quite a few players out. Obviously some players have gone out on permanent deals and that. Like I mentioned, Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years with Manchester United. Obviously we know Smalling left for Roma on loan, went for just under £3 million. Darmian joined Parma for just over £1 million. Ander Herrera left the football club on a free transfer in the summer. And I think that was one mistake for Manchester United, getting rid of Ander Herrera. Because you can quite frankly say, arguably, that Ander Herrera was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. So I think analysing it, Ander Herrera had 3.5, 4 good years out of the 5 years he was at Manchester United, because he did have a couple of bad spells under Jose Mourinho. But the most thing that infuriated me more was us obviously letting his contract run down and letting him go on a free transfer. So we definitely need to recruit a replacement for him. Fellaini left after 6 years at Man United. He went to China back in January. I'm actually glad he went. We know Lukaku obviously went to Inter Milan on a permanent deal. Some people maybe will pinpoint out saying, it was a mistake from us, letting Romelu Lukaku leave the football club. Because obviously, Lukaku, scored a lot of goals for Manchester United. Obviously, he did really, really well in his first season at the football club. Lukaku served 2 years at Man United before he went to Inter Milan, and in his first season did really, really well. I think in his first season he scored 27 goals in all competitions. Didn't replicate that in his second season, because he initially lost his place in the team to Marcus Rashford and that, and this is why obviously Lukaku ended up leaving the football club. Don't get me wrong, I was very, very happy with the money, we did, generate from his departure. We got, 70 odd £million. So basically you can say we did recoup the money that we did pay from Everton back in 2017, because we did pay around £75 million from Everton back in 2017. But yeah, and I'm glad we got rid of Sanchez. That was another mistake from the football club. Was obviously ever recommending Sanchez into the football club. We got Sanchez in January, last January we got Sanchez in and that as part of a swap deal with Mkhitaryan. Morning. As part of a swap deal of Mkhitaryan going to Arsenal, and Sanchez endured 18 months at Manchester United and that before he went out on loan over Inter Milan. And Sanchez endured a difficult 18 months with the football club. Only managed 45 appearances in all competitions and only managed 5 goals. And he was sustained quite a lot of injuries as a Manchester United player. But Sanchez did not perform to the standards as we all expected of him at Man United and that. But despite the fact that he is on loan with Inter Milan, the club are still paying the vast majority of his wages. I still believe the club are paying him around 300 grand a week. But yeah, it was good that we got rid of him. Bit of a mistake in the first place getting him in last January. And I think Man United will reflect on that mistake. So maybe this is why we'll leave the majority of our business until next summer. Don't forget as well, we did loan a couple of goalkeepers out. Dean Ensign's out on loan with Sheffield United. Joe Pereira's out on loan in Scotland, with Hearts and that.
Saw Mark Stevenson earlier.
Did you?
Cleaning windows at Sanders, 44-0.
Did you?
Yeah.
What you doing now?
I've just bought a new electric shaver, Charlie, 65 quid.
Yeah.
Down to 40 quid a wow.
What you doing now?
I'm getting a shower in a minute and I'm going to burn woodworking kitchen.
Alright.
I'm not up to doing the sun bunker.
Alright.
Matching all that roll and having the tonsils out. I've just seen it earlier.
Alright.
I've just got a message from Pocket.
Have you?
Morning, Alan. UC, Universal Credit. You need to sign into your Universal Credit account.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, you have to bring your fit note up to the job centre. Fucking knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm going up Thursday. Are you going up Thursday or today?
Don't know.
I fucking hate being on that benefit, mate. I want to get off it. Fucking hate it. I don't want it. It's shit. It's fucking absolutely shit.
Is it?
Yeah, crap. Fucking shite. It's absolutely fucking shite, is that, man? Shite. Do you like grass, stones,
No.
or edges?
Sorry guys about that, I was just talking that, but yeah, like I mentioned, yeah, so definitely more players need to leave the football club, and like I give you the news earlier on, well, on my recent videos in regards to the new director of football at Manchester United. Obviously there has been a lot of recent speculation about Edwin van der Sar coming in as the new director of football at the football club. I think he's indicated out at some point in his future he would be interested in making a return back to Manchester United, and that, you know, during the summer there was quite a few former Manchester United players linked with the director's role at the football club, obviously, and all that. And I did say, you know, that's one of the structural changes we need to see at Manchester United, and you could arguably say if we'd have got that director of football in the summer, then maybe in that aspect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been backed more. But like I mentioned, it would be, you know, beneficial to recommend someone who knows the traditions of the club, someone, of course, who's got that experience. And Van der Sar's got that experience, plus he knows about the club because he served 6 years with Man United, don't forget. And obviously now he's a chief executive at Ajax. This is now, I think, his fourth season with Ajax. He's Edwin van der Sars. But yeah, there has been a lot of talks about him recently. And there's also a list of managers on our agenda who could replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now at the football club if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be sacked, like I did, of course, update you yesterday. Obviously, there's been talks about, you know, Max Allegri for a number of weeks now. Like I updated you yesterday. It did say that, you know, Max Allegri, you know, would want Patrice Evra on his coaching staff, you know, if he was, you know, to become the new Manchester United boss. Obviously, you know, I think we had Evra from 2006 to 2014, you know, he was a long-serving player at Man United and that. And I think Max Allegri did say the other week, you know, if he is to, you know, he would take over at Man United if he was to be assured the job within the next few weeks. So yeah, I think he's the club's primary candidate to replace Solskjaer. But there's also been other managers that have been mentioned, as, you know, Pochettino's no longer the club's top priority. Obviously Wenger's been mentioned, and a few other managers have been mentioned as well. But I think, you know, we will be staying with Solskjaer at least for this present time. There's also a lot of injuries in the squad, don't forget. We have got a lot of injuries, but I think the vast majority of them, you know, like I mentioned, you know, who are injured, you know, will be back for the game against Liverpool on Sunday, you know, which is very, very good news. So Martial should be back, Luke Shaw should be back, Pogba, there's been reports saying that, you know, he could miss the game, but we'll see what happens. Lingard should be back, Bissaka should be back because he's been out with illness, you know, Lindelof should be back as well, Jones probably won't be playing anywhere, but he should be back from injury. Fossil Mensah, I think, still out injured. Bay, obviously, no, won't be back. You know, so yeah. So that's obviously, you know, very, very good news. So the main part of this video was to give you the news about Mario Mandzukic and also give you the rest of the other news. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching, guys.